YouTube, what it do, man? It's your boy Benji, and we are back with the review. If you're new, please don't forget to subscribe, man. I appreciate each and every one of y'all that's been showing love. Y'all been recommending me movies, TV shows, wrestling matches, and all to check out. So we catching the vibe. We over there on the Patreon if you do want to check it out. But let's talk about this movie that we saw. Him. Now, this is a movie that was marketed to be produced by Jordan Peele. And, of course, that was going to grab plenty of people's attention. It got mine. So when I first heard about this, it immediately pulled me in. Let's talk about it. The movie opens with a gruesome clip of NFL star quarterback Isaiah White, who was played by Marlon Wayans. He's throwing the winning touchdown in the Super Bowl, but breaks his leg while doing so. Cade Jr. is watching, wide-eyed and shocked, but his father provides him some comfort, letting him know that this is all a part of the game. So, Cade Jr. is conditioned to believe that success requires immense sacrifice to the highest degree. So sometimes, if you gotta win, you gotta break your leg. You know, like the saying, you know, when you go out to stage on a play, and like, break a leg. I guess that's what you gotta do in order to have a good day. I'm sure that people have their own feelings about people putting their body on the line for the entertainment of others and the money that results from it. But sports are a passion of many. Many people do like to go out there and perform these athletic feats. But you also cannot knock the money that comes with it too. There are some nice sentiments about the way that these athletes participate in arenas. A couple statements in the movie where I think this is expressed, where it's akin to the way that the ancient Greeks and the Romans had to do things. It's kind of where the history of sports comes back to. I have seen theories about this movie trying to relate the task of a boy growing into a man and how masculinity is tied to the game of football. I mean, sure, American football was introduced to many on a vast scale. Post-Civil War is an opportunity to toughen up some of these young boys, and we do see this in the film as Cam is reminded to toughen up, even in the first scene. Years later, Cam has grown up and is potentially a top pick in the draft. He's out on an empty field training for the combine by himself and is entranced to a ball that continues to spin on its own. Cam is a QB, and one could assume that he spent a good portion throwing the old pigskin with his dad growing up. But again, it was a little strange here that the dude that could be potentially the number one pick, sure, he loves the game and is out there willing to practice on his own. But the fact that he's out there practicing on his own, ain't nobody helping him, ain't got no catchers, no receivers, no trainers. Apparently by this point in the movie, his dad had already passed away. This is unfortunate, but a lot of his dying wishes, including playing football, are lived on by Cade Jr. It is even mentioned at one point in the movie that Cam actually professed to his father that he no longer wanted to play football, but his dad continued to try and push him. And the people in his corner at this point are his mom, his girlfriend, and his brother. He also has an agent. Spoiler alert, he's clubbed in the head by somebody in a mascot costume. The effects of this attack trickle down into the rest of his movies. Cam begins to see visions and starts to stress about his positioning in the draft since he's unable to further participate in the combine and compete potentially in a sport where one's head is on the line. Now again, for something that is so integral to the plot, I think it's not really discussed. Somebody just sneaks up on him, which, okay, can happen. Again, this dude's potentially the number one pick in the draft. We've seen stories in real life where a lot of these potential top picks go through things in their own personal life that continue to engulf the entirety of the draft conversation. A lot of people are worried about whether or not this guy can play, but I mean, let's talk about it. Somebody committed a crime. Where the police? Like, why his family is not really concerned about his safety following this? It becomes evident in the combine that Cam is an afterthought. And there's even a moment where we see his girlfriend trying to reassure him that she doesn't really care if he makes it pro. She loves him for him. She doesn't care about the millions and the fame that could come from it. Yeah, sure. We even see scenes where his agent is fielding away questions about whether or not Cam is going to be fit to continue to play on an NFL field. Cade's agent is also the agent of Isaiah White. And remember, Isaiah White is Cam's idol. At this point, Isaiah White has won 8 Super Bowls. 8 rings after bouncing back from the injury like that he had is definitely GOAT worthy. Tom Brady, who's a lot of people regard to be the GOAT, has 7 rings. So I think this is something that they purposely put there in order to ensure that he can't be touched. Cam is drowning his pain away in drinks and partying, but his agent does call and present a crazy opportunity to him. He's awarded the opportunity to go out there and train with his idol for a week. I mean, it is a coincidence that your agent does rep the guy who you're supposed to be superseding. We see this in real life. When an agency is able to grab the best of the best, the cream of the crop, and they're able to represent them, it's a layup. It's a great marketing plan for them to entice the future top draft picks to sign with them, other big name players to sign with them. We got the best, we can help you out as well. So Cam's to train with this guy in the desert, mind you. And on his way in, he's surrounded by a plethora of crazy fans. The craziest fan of them all is Marjorie. Most of the people were just happy to be there, but she is somebody who is not cool with Cam's presence. I'm guessing she doesn't want the GOAT to retire. Cam is introduced to the man, the myth, the legend, Isaiah White. These guys' initial conversations are awkward and Isaiah dodges many direct questions, but they eventually get right to it. This dude got some crazy training regimens. Again, the goal is for Cam to get drafted by the Saviors and potentially be the next Isaiah White. Yes, the team that Isaiah White plays for is called the Saviors. Some of the guys that he meets are Marco, the team doctor, the guy who's on top of it all. Combo these guys have is pretty quick. It's, hey, how are you doing? We're about to participate in a physical. And if you don't know, physicals can sometimes be a little awkward if you're the person receiving it. Now, strangely enough, this is, many people could probably say, similar to like an auction block. The guys are like, take your clothes off. And so Cam obliges. He takes all his clothes off. Everything. And these guys are just standing there gawking at him and measuring him and examining him. Cam is trying to continue onward with some of his family's or his dad's expectations essentially of him. This does present itself in this scene where Isaiah asked him, why are you doing what you do? While he's like butt naked getting a physical. Cam says, I'm doing this for my family. Isaiah says, not enough. The training regimens are pretty crazy. I mean, we see this dude falling behind. Cam can't keep up with Isaiah, even though Isaiah is extremely old. Now, typically, you would see the youth excel, specifically, and you're talking about the athletic condition that these guys are in comparison to the old guys. When Tom Brady continued to get up there in age, he was never really the most athletic guy. It was a mystery as to why this guy could continue to destroy everybody at the level that he was doing it, even though he was not the most athletic. He was older, so he had to be slowing down. He had to be becoming a little bit weaker, and he had to be carrying the burden and the scars of years and years and years of play. Cam can't keep up with this old guy. Plenty of people can ask why, and we get introduced to that. If I haven't dropped spoiler alert, I'm dropping spoiler alerts. Cam does see why he's doing rehab and starting to take rehab more seriously. Isaiah White is injecting himself with his own blood, to which he kind of just plays it off and is like, oh yeah, sometimes when I'm having good days, I keep this blood in the event that maybe I'm sick or something like that. It all does make sense that they're in a desert, because the desert continues to play upon the hallucinations that Cam sees. Even when he's nauseous out there in the desert, he starts to see these mascots. The training regimens these guys undergo are insane. There's a group of guys who stand in front of a machine in order to take a football to the face at nearly 70 miles an hour every time Cam messes up a throw. So we see the dude get hit time after time in the face with a football. And we see Cam, the way he responds to this is by yelling at the people that are not catching the ball. Obviously, he has concern from this guy. Isaiah points out something that's important. Cam doesn't take accountability. The pressure is on you if you want to be him. There's even a moment where these guys start playing so aggressive that they end up just ramming heads into one another, which is insane, and a reminder that Cam has an active head injury. Maybe the way to do things, or at least be the best at things, is to do things that other people are not. And now this is where things get super, super weird. There's a scene where Cam is chilling in a sauna and is attacked by the crazed fan Marjorie and chokes her out. Luckily for Cam, he's got like a sixth sense to where he literally is like, I guess, napping, yet he's able to duck her hitting him with the rock, one of the sauna rocks that Shorty grabs with her bare hands. It is Isaiah that shows up and coldly finishes the job as she begs for an ounce of attention from her GOAT. This is kind of a full circle moment to the don't be a mascot or a fan advice, as these people are like kind of like gnats. They don't really matter. They're always around you, but just leave me alone. You know what I mean? Now, the importance that they have in the grand scheme is the adulation and the money that they're able to provide to the game. That's the only really thing that matters. There's a man at the top, he who is him, and then there's everybody else. Isaiah trains and lives to be him. And that's all that Cam should be aspiring for. You shouldn't be trying to be just another cog in the wheel, just another player on the field, just another mascot who's outside watching. Everything only matters when you were the top guy. Cam tries to leave, but Elsie, who's Isaiah's wife, seduces him and invites him to turn up. Cam passes out and wakes up at gunpoint to Isaiah, who is questioning Cam if he and Elsie had slept together, or maybe him and one of the other girls. Now I'm gonna tell y'all a couple things. I know me, if I had an inkling of suspicion that my wife was doing nasty things with people that I brought into my house, I'd possibly be pointing it at my wife. But this is GTA. I would, hey, we don't condone that type of violence. I'm just saying, if you're gonna be crazy, make it make sense. Cam lets him know that he is faithful to his girl back home. So it's possible this is all a test. Because Isaiah laughs, believing that all that lovey-dovey stuff has to go when you become the man. Apparently, the only option for you when you become successful is for you to have a harem of women around you. I also want to mention that there's a lot of homoerotic moments, and specifically when Isaiah pulls the gun out, there's a lot of weird references in this movie that kind of go over the top. You just had to watch it. I don't even want to talk about it. Okay, let me dial it back. The way that they go down is not even naturally anything that anybody would, like, for example, where Isaiah pulls the gun out on Cam, he starts just deep throwing the gun. It's strange and unnecessary, because it doesn't logically follow what they're talking about or the seriousness of the scene. I guess the only comparison you can make here is that this dude is actually insane, because what would make you just go from talking about you being the GOAT to deep throwing the gun? Anyways, one of the final stages is photo shoot day. And there's a scene that many people claim positions the people as if it's like the Last Supper, where Cam is the last one who has not yet fallen to invitation. Elsie, again Isaiah's wife, invites Cam to meet the owners of the Saviors, who's again the team that Isaiah plays for, who could potentially draft him at number 1. There's a party that they're supposed to go to, and I will admit the party is very strange. So imagine these millionaire and billionaire owners chilling at a rundown part of town having a party. The team's doctor, Marco, tells Cam to run. Cam does not listen to this advice and ends up drinking with some of the old men. Now, many people, after watching the way that this plays out, spoiler alert, believe it's blood. It's very likely he's been drinking blood. And this again could reference to the earlier parts of the movie where Cam continues to get injections. Cam eventually passes out and wakes up in a back room with Marco's head on the table, and there's an IV attached to his arm. He rips it out immediately and sees a serum likely left on the table from Marco. It's titled Run. So he takes that in order to gain his energy back and eventually confront Isaiah. Many times in the movie, Isaiah mentions leaving in order to watch film, and apparently his film room is just where he sits and watches the fans cheer for him. Again, that's the only purpose that these fans hold. It's to continue to praise you, worship you, feed your ego. Isaiah explains to Cam that he is just one of the latest in a long line of goats who have been a part of a ritual to continue the lineage by drinking and injecting enhanced blood. Yep, you're right. Yep. It's possible that Cam has been drinking blood that is centuries old. These guys end up fighting. Cam eventually defeats Isaiah in a supposed duel to the death and confronts the owners, who are all outside on the field, halfway through a ceremony, waiting for Cam's signature. Cam denies this, and we get a scene where he just kills them all. Even his agent, who was there I vouch for you. We're trying to give you the same deal that Isaiah had. Yeah, and that's it. That's how it ends. The movie had a lot of potential, man, due to its premise, but it was executed horribly, if you ask me. There's some portions of it that I would say, okay, this is touching on this, which I think is important, and then they just kind of go on to the next thing. I realized I was an hour into the movie and I was still confused about what was going to happen. Much hadn't been fleshed out yet, and then boom, for the last 30 minutes everything gets crammed in, so it makes the plot feel a little bit forced. Because while I think the movie does a good job kind of introducing you to a lot of the characters and the plot and the history, the latter portion of the movie where the climax and everything's supposed to happen just gets thrown in there very, very, very quickly. So if you had to ask me, I would have wished that this thing was probably 20, 30 minutes longer. I think it was just very hard for me to get behind Cam or really hate Isaiah White or the owners or really feel sorry for any of them as victims, because the characters are not really fleshed out. I wish that there were more insertions of the agent earlier in the movie, which showcased the relationship a little bit better. Cam is doing this for his family. We get a couple scenes of them early in the movie, and then they just disappear because Cam is not supposed to access his phones in this compound. But again, if you're going to make this dynamic mean something, then we should care a little bit about his family a little bit more. Maybe a sense of guilt. And then if you had to ask me, what is the benefit of taking the blood? It's not like it magically makes you great. You are just chosen from the elites to be the face and receive these material items. Whether or not you are actually happy does not matter. And wouldn't you have already been good, like Cam, if you were drafted highly in the NFL anyways? So what are you gaining by participating in this ritual? Ben, what are you talking about? You gain success. But like, again, football is not an individual sport. So let's just assume that Isaiah has been taking this blood that just makes him so much faster and so much stronger. He's just one guy. Like, do other teams just tank? Just lose games? Do people just get out of your way because you are drinking this blood? Or am I looking into it too deep and it's just this blood is a way for you to become better without taking steroids? Cam mentioned in this movie that the main thing that he would want is a career without injury. Never once did he say that he was becoming a pro for the fame and the fortune. So I think the thing that the movie's trying to get to is that it was predestined for Cam to be in this position. But I guess they misinterpreted this guy after watching him for supposedly years. Because this money thing is not what drives him. And if we're talking about money, the median salary in the NFL is $900,000 a year. He was not going to be hurting for money regardless. But yeah, I would assume that the blood likely had a supernatural element to it that helps your body perform at maximum capacity. But again, it's not like Cam had to do their things their way. There are deleted scenes that show him still having a successful pro career without having to sell his soul. I think that there are plenty of easy layups for this movie to tackle, like the struggles of being in a single-parent household that would drive someone, the hurdles of balancing a romantic relationship while dealing with fame, the dynamic between players and the team owners, the relationships between the fans and players, slimy agents. Heck, even the physical toll that these players put themselves through could have been driven home. But the movie centers around a head injury that Cam suffers, and again, we never see police get involved. We don't see family stressing about him going anywhere solo. Nothing. A cash cow almost had his career ended before it started and no one cares. Thing is that supposedly his head had been hit in order to line him up to eventually train with Isaiah and be presented with the opportunity to sign with the owners. Again, a terrible plan. Why would you even think that would make any sense? He could have got hit over the head and said, you know what? I don't even want to play football anymore. This ain't even worth it. And who cleared him to do this helmet-to-helmet contact that he put himself through? In addition, what life is Isaiah living? Because, again, it's hammered home that he has to be someone who's all about self and how having a loyal girl doesn't really matter much. Yet you have a wife. And fame matters to him so much, yet he offed the one person who's fiending for his love. The biggest fan. And like I said, man, the movie just ends after Cam just slaughters a bunch of old guys. I guess nobody cares that the owner, maybe the vice president, whoever was there at this ritual just vanishes, right? This is his actual house. This guy is an NFL quarterback. Does he lose his life as well in the house? What are the police doing in this movie? I don't know. But you know what, like, rate things yay, nay, and okay. Truthfully, I think there's some benefits. There's some positives in this movie. I think Marlon Wayans was actually really, really good as an actor. He did a really good job playing this crazed, evil athlete. And really does want to see Cam succeed. Yet, he has a burden and he has people watching him to ensure that things go a certain way. He really sees promise in this kid, and I think that Marlon Wayans acts out every element of this character very, very, very well. But he's not given much to really work with in regards to maybe a script. And the rest of the people here don't really provide me any true emotion or anything I actually really get behind. Cam is not really fleshed out enough as a character for me to even really care about his motives and intentions. And if I had to ask, this movie's an A for me. Like, again, there's really good cinematography. There's good acting from Marlon Wayans. Not much. This movie's like 90 minutes, bro. And if you want to check it out, my reaction will probably be dropping sometime soon. If not, we already watched it on the Patreon. But stay tuned to the next one, please. Peace.